It's Wednesday, and I love having an amazing franchisee guest on the Franchise Envy series. I have an amazing one today. You know, it's always an amazing one. Nicole Smith, welcome to the show. DOXA Talent.
Up next.
For those listening, you invest $80,000 to $100,000 in a couple of years, you end up with $1.5 million business that you're operating from home.
With why I'm here with DOXA, having this type of impact on, underserved and high caliber individuals and really making a difference in people's life is a privilege that I really don't take lightly. Yeah, this is a wonderful question because I have to say it's something I always bring up when I'm asked to hold any sort of speaking event.
Welcome, Nicole.
Lance, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so happy to have you. For those listening, I ran into Nicole at our annual convention in Orlando very, very recently, last week to be exact. And DOXA has been on my radar for a while, and we're going to hear all about this. They call it conscious outsourcing, but I want to get to a funny story to start with. Everybody listening that is interested in ownership and business ownership really wants to know why people are picking certain franchises, how they got to that franchise, because there's thousands of franchises. And Nicole's story is crazy because Nicole is a global genius in the world of HR. She was at a franchise law firm doing all the good things for them. And all of a sudden, she's partnered with two powerhouse franchise lawyers. Did you guys hear me? She's partnered in DOXA with franchise attorneys that I happen to know. So, Nicole, how did this dynamic trio, if you will, get together?
So Tom and Josh certainly are, at Spadia Liana, they certainly bring a deep level of legal expertise and really that strategic lens, which is unmatched. And I'm coming from the HR talent side. So I've been spending, most of my career helping organizations, really scale. But the real story, which is what you're looking for, is we all cross paths through work. So I have been with Tom and Josh for the last almost decade, right, helping them build their team. And we kept finding ourselves really aligned on how we, thought about people and growth. And that kind of led us to do, business together. So, when DOXA came into the picture, it really felt like this perfect intersection of all of our strengths. So the decision to go into business together was, really seamless for the three of us because we trusted each other and we really saw the same future of building something that we had built at the law firm together in the franchising space.
Such an incredible story when franchise attorneys become franchise owners. Every franchisee behind you feels kind of safe that they've already taken the plunge. They've already reviewed that FDD and franchise agreement and everything else. But DOXA, you were using DOXA. You were a client of DOXA's at the law firm?
Yeah. So I was actually leading the talent acquisitions and all of the organizational development for the franchise law firm. So it was really, I was focused on helping them scale domestically, and then we took the leap, right, and started to add that global talent pool into all of our departments. And when you work with a company like DOXA and they have, this just natural alignment to what we were doing and seeing that, that being a force multiplier for our business, it really laid the foundation for us to take this leap into DOXA as business owners and not just as clients.
DOXA on the website talks about conscious outsourcing. Tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, we believe in people, and in order to, have the things that we have, great place to work, a wonderful team, a wonderful culture, it really, for us, it was the conscious outsourcing model is making sure one, that you are investing in every single person in the business, onshore, offshore, making sure everyone has the tools they need to work, properly, making sure that they have the HR, the IT support, making sure that they are being paid a thriving wage. Actually, we pay, typically anywhere between 25 to 30% over the market average, which does a few things, right? It allows us to have, beat out our competitors in a way, right? Because these individuals aren't going to be looking for another job, right? To make more money, because we're already investing in them from the beginning. It also really opens up the talent pool when it comes to our, incredible recruiting efforts. So it does a few things by making sure that we are really investing in every single person in the organization.
So at this point, you have one territory in the Philly market, and obviously you're doing well. You started earlier this year. You and I were talking before we started here that this is a business, $80,000 to $125,000 investment, can be home based, that you can build a at least a mid 7-figure business. I mean, imagine for those listening, you invest $80,000 to $100,000 in a couple of years, you end up with $1.5 million business that you're operating from home. So for you, what are you seeing in the first year that you can actually do an income in this type of business?
I mean, it's going to really vary from franchisee to franchisee. But for us, we are looking at coming in close to 200,000, which is, we projected a little bit less than that, knowing that the ramp up in a revenue share model was going to take a bit longer. But it's extraordinary for our initial investment to already be paid off, which for us was, I think, less of a concern, because we knew that we were in this for the long game. But having the opportunity to generate low to mid 7 figures in the first 3 to 5 years to business is pretty extraordinary. And it really comes down to the understanding of your market. What is each different franchisee's goals? Are you building these strong relationships and constantly delivering? So there are just a ton of different aspects to this that are going to have an effect on the revenue.
Not to mention the enormous margins, 30-40%?
Yeah. Gross margins are usually in the 30 to 40%, but I would actually say more of the 40% range, really depending on your client mix, how well you're running your business, and certainly the more you streamline and really focus on that ICP, the better your returns.
One of the questions that a lot of my clientele asks me on a regular basis, as you can imagine, is, all right, if I invest in this franchise, when do I make my money back? And what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, based on, let's say, $100,000 investment, you can make that back, and it sounds like you did, in 6 months, potentially.
I would say, it's 6 months, but the trajectory is certainly different, depending on, because this is per seat, right? This is a margin share, so it really is dependent. But I would say that I would like to elaborate a little here, because I think that one of the biggest aspects for me coming into this was that, I could run my business long term for less than $18,000 a year and have a super profitable business in a lifestyle that really worked for me, right? This is a fully remote position, and I can service clients in the best possible way anywhere that I am around the world, so long as I have the tools. So that's pretty incredible.
So it was easy for you, being a client, to see this is an incredible business model. There aren't many companies out there doing outsourcing right. There's maybe a handful of other companies in outsourcing, franchising today. So was it easy convincing 2 franchise attorneys to join you in this?
Absolutely not. So we had seen the effects of it in our own business. So first of all, we already had the knowledge of how this operated, how this worked from start to finish, so it really offered the best of both worlds. I, had the chance with my two partners to really scale something that we already believed in, and we knew, that there was a proven system behind it. So it wasn't necessarily just about starting a business. It was really making sure that they were doing this in a conscious way, making sure it reflected our own values, and that alignment really made the leap feel purposeful. And we're all coming from a franchise background, so we already knew the value in that.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate that info. So, talk to the audience and the folks that, I mean, look, I have guys that join and gals that join air conditioning franchises that know nothing about air conditioning and do very well. I have people, my favorite story is my friend that was bald and didn't know how to cut hair, and all of a sudden he owns a whole bunch of great Clips hair salons. This is what the franchise business is all about. There's a system for everything, and smart people can succeed regardless of their background. But you and Tom and Josh are a bunch of smart people in franchising, so there's some distinctive advantages. Talk to who is the ideal franchisee now that you're in the system. Who is that ideal franchisee for DOXA as far as you know?
Yeah, so I would say rather than just the ideal franchisee, I would really talk about what a successful franchisee, those skill sets are. And I would certainly say that grit, they really need to be able to push through the hard stuff. And, we all know that resilience is everything. I would say that the ideal franchisee is really going to have a growth mindset. Hitting your goals is great, but from what I've seen, the best franchisees are kind of always asking, what's next? Another trait that I would say is really important with this is problem solving, right? Changes are going to pop up all the time in the recruiting space, so you've got to be able to really assess, adapt, and execute pretty quickly. And, financial acumen. You don't need to be an accountant, but you do need to know your numbers and how your business runs.
And a lot of what you just described can be taught as long as you're willing to be gritty and work hard.
Yep.
Financial acumen, people can be taught how to run a P&L and be aware of KPIs. So it's really about someone truly willing to work hard, give great customer service. I mean, those are really the factors too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good. So let's move on. Size. When you guys, I mean, look, you were a client, but this is also still a small brand. You guys are going to grow like crazy. And I know there's a lot of new franchisees coming on board, but you were an affiliate first, then you became a franchise owner, when the franchise system was now set up. But did size come into play when you were determining if DOXA was right for you guys?
Not really. We weren't really looking for the biggest name. We were really looking for the right fit when we decided, to go down this path and partner up. So DOXA, it might not be the biggest, but they really had the infrastructure of a much larger firm. So it felt more like a true partnership and not really like a transaction.
Got it. So what do you anticipate? You could talk about yourself personally, but I would imagine there wasn't so much of a struggle for you. But what do you anticipate is the struggle? Because everybody always asks me, what's the hard part when I launch this franchise? What's the really hard part in the beginning? Because most of it is you don't know anything about the business. You're not in it yet. You haven't gone through training. So what is that hard part?
Yeah, so I did have that exposure of many years of building teams, right? So I came in, I think, with a bit of a different perspective. But one thing that I think was the hardest part of launching was really balancing the learning with the doing. There's so much to understand with global outsourcing. You have compliance, the culture of these teams, how these systems work, and even with DOXA support, I had to dive deep and really stay committed to learning as I was building.
So as you're in it now, let's talk about scale a little bit. When we talk about hitting mid seven figures, what is the secret to scale? Is it just adding more team members to your organization to help sell more, get more clients?
So from the franchisor level all the way down to the franchisees, this is why this model is in place. The franchisors are bringing on these franchisees to really be able to have this hyper-local approach and be able to really bring this solution to those markets. But it's going to come down to the amount of seats, right? And how you're getting there and what building that business looks like for you. Some folks are probably going to, have a few very large enterprise level clients. There's going to be another group of people that may be focused more on that, $5 to $20 million revenue business where they can constantly be growing with these organizations. So I think it's the way you're going in about how you want to build your business and where you want to focus your efforts that I think is going to really push your scalability.
So I'm curious. You've scaled global teams, you've built leaders really around the world. If you could outsource one personal task, what would that be, Miss Nicole?
Oh my goodness. I don't even need to think about this. This is certainly, email and task management, hands down. Once I handed that off, all of a sudden I reclaimed, countless hours in my week, and I'm now able to focus strictly on strategic business development, more client work. So that one little shift, right, allowed me to really operate at a much, much higher level. And it's really a perfect example of how the right support can totally change how you show up in your business and your life.
I think I'm with you on that. Email, I absolutely need somebody to help me with email.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you've met my EA, but she is honestly the heart and soul of my brand, and finding, a way to duplicate myself. This is the only way that I have found that I can buy back time, right, is to duplicate myself in an incredible EA.
So I'm assuming your executive assistant is outsourced. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. So she has been with me for a long time. And, if anybody, gets on calls with me from this, you will definitely have the pleasure of meeting my most senior EA.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what your foundation, call it the cornerstone of your success. Share one bit of wisdom that you think is truly the cornerstone of your success with the audience.
Oh my goodness. So always, 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 no matter where I've been in my career, it's always investing in people, right? Your teams, your clients, your own community, really being able to lead with empathy and with vision. Everything else is going to follow. That's always been my North Star, and it's why I would say it's my why, with why I'm here with DOXA, having this type of impact on, underserved and high caliber individuals and really making a difference in people's life is a privilege that I really don't take lightly.
So you had told me that you are doing a lot of validation calls with DOXA. And for the folks listening that don't know, when you investigate any great franchise brand, at some point in the process, the brand will introduce you to franchisees. My advice always is you want to talk to the best franchisees you can possibly talk to. DOXA is a younger brand, and thankfully there is a great franchisee that I'm talking to right now that you would be talking to. But when you're talking to these people, what do they seem most apprehensive about?
I would say that I think a curiosity, right, is that ramp up time. This is a rev share model. There are a lot of things that I think the brand honestly has learned over the past few years with, corporate team members and affiliate partners. And so now they understand how to best support every new franchisee coming on by preparing them with an incredible sales playbook and really helping them kind of hit the ground running. So where that ramp up time may have been longer. Earlier on, the time has certainly shifted down because of all the things that have been implemented at the corporate level to really help these franchisees have great lead generation to start.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you about also regarding the marketing. What is the support that they're giving you on marketing to generate, leads and clients?
Yeah, no, this is a wonderful question because I have to say it's something I always bring up when I'm asked to hold any sort of speaking event. The marketing, so we have a dedicated team just for the franchisees, which is pretty incredible. I have so much support when it comes to all of the collateral needed, all of the, one pagers, all of the email marketing, all of my high level accounts when I need that back end strategic work when it comes to really sharing that vision through marketing for them. This dedicated team has been very, very hands-on, and it is probably one of my favorite parts of being able to have such great support from DOXA, because the marketing team is certainly always going to play a huge hand in business development, and knowing I have a team that I can rely on was really important to me and certainly has exceeded my expectations.
Well, Nicole, you've been a fantastic guest. Nicole at DOXA Talent, franchisee. Thank you for being here on Franchise Envy.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Lance. I had a great time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.